Woodworkers seek out Incra precision fence systems for a variety of reasons. Some appreciate the built-in scale and never having to measure between the fence and cutter. It's hard to believe that just a few years ago, that was the accepted method to set your router fence position. Naturally, many are drawn to the joinery capabilities to add strength and beauty to their favorite projects. Others enjoy the versatility of a true router table fence system that handles all of the bread and butter cuts required by any wood shop: grooving and dadoing, rabbiting, edge forming, and even jointing. But all of our customers agree on one thing: Incra's incrementally positioned fence systems make the impossible quite possible, allowing anyone with any skill level to precisely locate and later duplicate any cut. From intricate pattern work and exquisite boxes to large furniture projects, your LS Positioner is up to the challenge. Before setting up and using your new LS Positioner, let's take a few moments to become better acquainted with some of the control unit's basic operational elements. The LS Positioner control unit is comprised of two pieces, the base and the longer carriage. The carriage includes the lead screw positioning element, along with the micro adjust knob and the laser engraved scale bezel. The top of the carriage holds the stainless steel primary scale and includes 4 auxiliary scale slots. The magnetically held primary scale can be lifted and moved as necessary to accommodate your setups. The auxiliary scale slots are used to hold a secondary scale, along with any of the Incra joinery templates. You can add or remove any of these scales or templates as needed for your project, and the friction fit holds the scale securely in place. At the forward end of the carriage, you'll find the steel fence mounting bracket for later attaching and securing your fence. The base anchors your LS Positioner fence system to the router table and contains the hairline cursor and view windows, along with the threaded segment that engages with and positions the carriage. With the carriage installed in the base, lower the 3-position cam clamp to unlock and slide the carriage to your next setting. Pull the clamp up to the center position when you want to micro-adjust your fence position. Each audible click of the dial is equal to 1/1000th of an inch. The bezel tracks the movement visually and can be re-zeroed for your next adjustment. Pull the clamp up to the vertical position to lock the carriage securely in place. In order to access the full working range of your LS Positioner's carriage, you first need to carefully position and attach the base to your router table. The leading edge of the base should be located 19 3/4 inches from the center of the router plate for the 17-inch model, or 27 3/4 inches from the center for the 25-inch model. If you've purchased an Incra-ready router table, place a 2-inch hex bolt from hardware pack A21 in each of the 4 mounting holes nearest to your leading edge position and loosely attach the washers and hex nuts. Slide the base onto the fasteners to capture the hex heads in the T-slots on the underside of the base. Square the base to the router table and double-check the measurement to the center of the mounting plate. Then tighten all 4 of the hex bolts. Now carefully slide the carriage back into the base and pull the carriage clamp up to lock the carriage in place. If your table won't permit the leading edge distances described, you can increase the size by adding an extension wing, as we've done here. Just attach user-made wood supports to the underside of your existing table. You can use wood spacers or paper shims as needed to bring the 2 surfaces flush. Then screw the extension wing in place. To locate drill positions for the 4 base mounting holes, place a mark on your router table where the leading edge of the base will be. Now draw 2 lines parallel to the table, 1 inch, then 3 inches behind the leading edge mark. Transfer the center line of your router table to these 2 lines. Then measure 2 3/4 inches either side of the center line and mark the final hole positions. Drill a 5/16 inch diameter hole at each of the 4 positions, then mount the base as previously described. Now let's install the accessories. Slide the carriage to position the fence mounting bracket near the opening in your router table's mounting plate and clamp the carriage in place. Attach the Pro 2 fence to the steel fence mounting bracket using the 1/4 20 by 1/2 socket head fasteners with washers and rectangular nuts from hardware pack A7. Slide the rectangular nuts into the T-slot located on the rear of the fence. Position the fence with a notch centered over the opening in your router plate and tighten the mounting screws. After mounting, check the fence for square to your table. If adjustment is necessary, loosen the mounting screws and insert a paper shim between the fence and fence mounting bracket. A shim placed below the fasteners will increase the angle between the fence and table. A shim placed above the fasteners will decrease the angle. After adjustment, tighten the fasteners to secure the fence. You'll find the Pro 2 extender bar and stop handy for extending a stop beyond the end of the fence. To install the extender bar, insert the 1/4 20 fastener with washer into the desired end of the fence, then loosely attach the rectangular nut. Now slide the extender bar in with the scale face up, leaving about an inch or so extended. Attach the stop arm to protrude beyond the front face of the fence and tighten the fastener. When not in use, the extender bar can be reversed and stored in the fence. The included shop stop positioner features the use of Incra's patented sawtooth positioning racks and clamps to the fence at exact multiples of 1/32 of an inch for instant and accurate repositioning. The stop's design permits conversion for use on either the infeed or outfeed end of the fence. For the more common outfeed usage, assemble the stop with the micro adjust screw on the outfeed end of the gold stop cap. The horizontal stop rod is designed for low fence applications only and can be removed or moved flush with the infeed end of the stop. The long Phillips head screw should be installed with the hex nut on the infeed end of the stop. Before tightening the long Phillips head screw, slide the vertical stop arm onto the hex nut. The lip on the stop arm should wrap around the outside face of the stop. The vertical stop arm can be raised or lowered as necessary to accommodate cutter clearance requirements or material thickness. It's the perfect accessory for controlling the length of a stopped groove, and setup is easy. Just slide your material up to contact the cutting wing of the bit. Then clamp the shop stop as close as possible to the board end. Micro-adjust the stop's position by loosening the 2 black thumb screws about 1/8 turn, then turn the Phillips head screw to move the stop surface until it just touches your board. Tighten the 2 black thumb screws. Now slide the scale to read 0 under the end of the gold portion of the stop. Once the stop is 0 to your cutter, setting your cut length is easy. Simply move the stop to align over the scale at the desired length and make your cut. Purchase a second stop positioner to make dual stop applications like the slot mortises we're cutting here perfectly repeatable. An easy and important technique to add to your shop capabilities. Great for decorating panels like this trivet project from the Incra Projects and Techniques book. The Incra right angle fixture is a joinery accessory that tracks the top of your fence to guide your workpiece safely and consistently for precise cutting results every time. Assemble the right angle fixture as described in the included instruction sheet. Then, lower the fixture onto the fence. Adjust the front and rear nylon thumb screws for smooth tracking along the fence, then tighten the locking nuts. When clamping material to your right angle fixture, always tighten the center thumb screw to lock the fixture to your fence. If your router table design permits, a spring clamp can be used to hold the fixture firmly to your table during the clamping process. Use a wooden hand screw to secure your material, making sure the stock is pressed downward and against the fence as you tighten the clamp. If you've purchased the LS Positioner Super System package, it includes the substantial capabilities of the WonderFence split fence system. let's take a few minutes to review the features and operation of this important accessory. To attach the Wonder Fence, insert the supplied hex tool through the 2 large diameter access holes in each fence half and loosen the fasteners. For a better view of the fasteners, loosen the thumb screw and slide the black plastic view panel to the side. Slide the 2 rectangular nuts on each fence half into the T-slot located on the front of the Pro 2 fence. Center the fences over your router opening and tighten the 2 fasteners on each fence. Don't forget to close the 2 view panels and tighten each of the locking thumb screws. The infeed and outfeed fences of the Wonder Fence can be moved independently in 2 directions to provide a variety of setup configurations. Gap adjustments allow use of large diameter cutters, while offset adjustments allow specialty cutting like shaping and jointing. Gap adjustments are made by simply loosening the 2 fasteners through the large access holes. After adjustment, always tighten the fasteners before making any cuts. Offset adjustments are made using the laser engraved wedge scales to gauge the offset. To initially calibrate the scales, loosen the 2 fasteners through the large access holes as well as the wedge lock fastener through the center hole on each fence half. Slide the black wedge on each fence to align the ends of the gold and black wedges. After this initial alignment, tighten all 6 fasteners. Test for fence alignment by sliding a reliable straight edge down the fence in both directions. If a slight offset still exists, fine-tune the outfeed wedge only. Each tick mark on the wedge is equal to 0.02 of an inch in offset adjustment. Once the fences are aligned and all fasteners tighten, loosen the nylon screw and slide the scale pointer to read 0 on each wedge unit. Don't currently own an edge jointer? The offset function of the Wonder Fence produces perfectly smooth, perfectly straight edges in moments. Here's how. After installing a 1/2 inch diameter or larger straight bit, move the LS Positioner to cover the bit and lift the carriage clamp to the center position. Place a straight edge on the outfeed fence and micro-adjust the positioner until both the cutter and fence contact the straight edge. Lock the LS in place. Now loosen the 2 fasteners through the large access holes on the infeed fence as well as the wedge lock fastener through the center hole. Slide the black wedge to adjust the infeed fence offset to about -0.20 and tighten all 3 fasteners. If you've never jointed with a router, give it a try. Even extremely rough edges can be smoothed up in 2 or 3 light passes. The router automatically holds the cutter perpendicular to the router table surface, so you can count on an edge cut perfectly square to the face of your board. And with the higher RPMs of a router motor, you'll produce an edge smoother than any joiner. Whether you're looking for the often elusive invisible glue joint or the all-important straight reference edge for rip cuts made at the table saw, the Wonder Fence can get it straight the first time. Attach the high-rise fence cap as described in your owner's manual for additional support during vertical panel raising operations. For long-range fence positioning applications like grooving and datoing of large panels or joinery, the Wonder Fence and high-rise fence cap can be easily removed and stored for future edge forming or jointing requirements. Joinery may be the icing on the cake, but common router cuts like edge forming, rabbiting, and grooving are the real bread and butter of any woodworking shop. Here are a few simple tips to set up your LS Positioner for each of these types of cuts. For grooving and datoing, you'll want to first zero the fence to the inside edge of the cutter. After installing the router bit, unclamp and slide the fence up to the cutter. Pull the clamp up to the center position. As you rotate the micro-adjust knob, sight down the fence until the gap of light between the fence and cutter disappears. Pull the clamp up to the fully locked position. Then slide the primary scale to read 0 under the hairline cursor. With this setup, the scale setting is equal to the distance between the fence and cutter, so if we move to 1 inch for example, there is a 1 inch gap between the fence and cutter. This setup makes precise groove location an easy task for your next project. For rabbiting, you'll find zeroing to the opposite side of the cutter a better choice. Unclamp and slide the fence forward to cover the bit, then pull the clamp up to the micro adjust position. Now hold a straight edge against the fence as you turn the micro adjust knob. When you see the gap disappear between the straight edge and the fence, pull the clamp up to the locked position. Now slide the stainless steel primary scale to read 0 under the hairline cursor. This setup gives a scale reading equal to your rabbet width. When you move the fence to 1/2 inch, for example, your rabbet will be a 1/2 inch wide. The WonderFence split fence is the perfect accessory to add for edge forming, accommodating both the larger diameter cutters and the need for dust collection. Chamfers, roundovers, and Roman ogis are just a few of the many edge forming cutters available. With these bits, you'll want to set the 0 position at the location for your final cut, which is often in line with the cutter's bearing. Just move the fence forward to cover the cutter and pull the clamp to the micro adjust position. Now hold a straight edge against the bearing as you micro adjust until both the fence and the bearing contact the straight edge. Pull the clamp up to the locked position and slide the stainless steel scale to read 0 under the cursor. You can now move the fence to a negative setting and approach your final cut position in several light side-by-side passes. These smaller bites ensure a smooth, splinter-free results. There are many things you'll do with an LS Positioner at your router table: grooving and dadoing, rabbiting, and edge forming, to name a few. But there is nothing quite so satisfying as a perfectly cut box joint or dovetail using your Incra precision fence system. With just a little preparation and a few quick setups, joints like these are surprisingly easy. Let's take a look. Before beginning your first joinery project, make sure your stock is flat, smooth, and square cut. No dovetail or box joint jig today can produce quality work from stock like this. When selecting your stock width for a joinery project, a good rule of thumb is to allow enough width for at least a 1/2 pin at both edges of the stock. To determine the width, just use the full scale diagrams at the back of the Master Reference Guide. These 1:1 scale drawings are a great visual reference for all of the joinery patterns. The cross-hatched area represents solid wood. Just measure from the approximate center of any one of the cross-hatched pins to the approximate center of another. To make your project narrower or wider, just step over to the next pin. As for material thickness, the suggested stock thickness under each diagram is a good starting point. If you must vary the stock thickness because of your project requirements, just keep these important guidelines in mind. For box joints, when cutting material thicker than the diameter of your cutter, you should first make a shallow series of cuts, then increase the depth and repeat. Never cut deeper than the diameter of the cutter in a single pass. For half blind, corner post, and double dovetails, always use material that is greater in thickness than the router bit's depth of cut. For through dovetails, keep in mind that for a given cutter, there is one and only one depth of cut that will provide a good fit. Once you've established the depth of cut, as described in the next chapter, thickness plane your stock down to match the depth of cut. Never raise the cutter up to match your stock thickness. To set your depth of cut for box joints, simply raise the cutter to match your stock thickness. For dovetail joints, depth of cut is used to control the fit of your joint. Too low and the fit is too loose. Too high and the fit is too tight. But follow along and you'll learn how to set it just right. Install the dovetail bit required for your pattern selection and set the initial depth of cut to the value shown under the diagram. Also, take note of the spacing to set depth of cut dimensions shown. At your router table, slide the fence to cover about half of the dovetail bit and lock the carriage clamp. Then slide the Lexan scale to read 0 under the hairline cursor. We'll use this scale to gauge the distance between the two test cuts. Clamp 2 pieces of square cut scrap stock to the right angle fixture and make the first cut. Unclamp and slide the carriage to align at 7/8 and make a second cut. Remember, 7/8 of an inch was shown as the spacing to set depth of cut for our pattern. Unclamp the 2 boards and test the fit. If you pull the 2 dovetails one against the other, the gap that forms is equal to the amount you need to raise the cutter to tighten the joint. If the boards are too tight or won't fit at all, you need to lower the bit to loosen the joint. Just remember, heighten to tighten, lower to loosen. In either case, adjust your depth of cut accordingly, then repeat the test cuts on a fresh corner of the boards. In general, it's best to set the initial depth of cut for the first set of trial cuts a little shallow. That way, your first test cut will show how much to raise the cutter. When the first set of cuts are too tight, they indicate that the cutter must be lowered, but don't reveal how much to lower it.